Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Slammer4. Today I have the pleasure of bringing you a replay of a game between myself in the red versus Dragon Archer Z in the blue trunks in the bottom right. And this is going to be on the very new to the scene map, Sylvan Charm. It's one of 5 new maps that is going to be part of our new ranked map pool once the much anticipated patch drops. And this is going to be a classic Beast versus Rax slugfest game. And as we prepare for the drop of our newest patch, I think it's going to be pretty cool to see some games. This is going to be pretty much the version of the game balance-wise that will be coming out and ranked will be played on. So you're going to see, we can see a little bit of a skirmish here. Dragon Archer Z trying to pick off my damaged wolf. That's going to be a one-shot red health wolf, but my micro is good enough to dodge out of the way, and now his raider is pretty hurt and is going to be a little bit in trouble facing these wolves. Dragon Archer Z has gone for a pretty fast third base. Both of us opened castle first in this game. And I am going to be on 2 den, just putting up some light beast wolf pressure. By pulling workers and using archers, he's able to hold this easily enough. I'm going to hop on top and try to put some damage on one of these workers. But this is all pretty much just light pressure that eventually is going to be shoot away. I think I may lose a wolf here. Again, I was able to micro decently well here. And yeah, actually we kill the raider because he didn't have enough HP for flashing, so a bit of a miscontrol from Dragon Archer Z, and again we kind of dive in with our wolves. If we look at the unit count, it is 21 to 21. Fortunately, a couple wolves are going to die here, but we do kill a archer, and it's definitely a perfectly fine trade if you lose 1 to 2 to 3 wolves to kill an archer, and particularly since we got the raider, we're already pretty happy with the way this game has gone. It's going to be very difficult for Rax to put on really early pressure at this point because they've already lost 2 Rax units, so they're going to have to kind of sit back and macro. However, Dragon Archer Z has secured a faster third base, so if we look at the unit counts, it's 24 workers to 22. So a pretty solid game for both players, really. Pretty much equal economy-wise and tech-wise as well. We see +1 on the way for Rax. Looks like my upgrades are going to be finishing soon, as well as Dragon Lair. You can see I'm banking a little bit of gold, so I'm going to throw down the double lair pretty quickly. Now, the interesting feature of Sylvan Charm, if you haven't seen this map before, is the natural base, or your second base, is basically a back door. It's connected to your main, but there's no entrance onto the rest of the map. So as a result, things like dragons are pretty strong to kind of put damage on because the main army is going to be pretty far away from defending this base. You can see Dragon Archer Z is already preparing for that eventual dragon transition. And this is all very, very, very standard Rax versus Beast play. You'll see a lot of upgrades coming into play. You'll see snakes and dragons and wolves used effectively. You can see I'm scouting for hidden bases because Dragon Archer Z is pretty known for doing proxy bases semi-regularly. So I'm just kind of trying to keep a consistent eye on that. And of course, these wolves aren't really doing anything useful other than scouting, so always do that. I want to point out quickly what Dragon Archer Z is doing SimCity-wise. You can see he's making it very difficult for snakes and wolves to get into his natural base here. He'll eventually be throwing down a tower along here, which can control this section of the map. He's also putting a house to the left to create a bit of a choke here and also keep an eye on these animal testing labs. You're going to see later in the game that Beast will try to knock these down and get a second path of attack onto the Rax player's main base. So Dragon Archer Z is already kind of trying to preempt that, and he's also going for early upgrades and getting a dropship out. Notice he goes for dropships first. He can use this to drop and also actually to scout with this timing. Meanwhile, both of us are at 34 workers. I have my first couple dragons out, and both players will just be kind of getting into this mid to late game on pretty equal footing. If we take a quick look at income, you can see we're very, very equal. with pretty much identical units lost and gold mine. Actually, Dragon Archer Z has secured himself a slight about 100 gold advantage, but that's very minimal and really doesn't have too much of an effect. And meanwhile, I'm going to be taking a faster 4th base. This is all pretty standard stuff. Oftentimes, Beast will try to get out a little more tech, so their 3rd base might be slightly later. However, as the Beast player, you're usually pretty comfortable. Looks like I'm going to make a poor micro error here and lose a dragon for free. So a bit of a miscontrol there. But we do kill a couple of workers and kind of try to hurt his economy. Meanwhile, we see the drop coming in. We have 4 soldiers. These are already +2, +1. So I was going to check the upgrades in a second there. You can see that he has 2-1 and I have only +1. So definitely a bit of an upgrade advantage for our Rax player. And this is kind of an artifact of getting out the faster dragons and putting on some earlier wolf pressure. It's going to enable him to really do a lot of damage with these early Rax units. But he has to run away because eventually the dragons will, of course, kill this dropship and kill the soldiers. So he wants to get out with his army. And obviously losing 5 Rax units would be pretty significant, so he doesn't want to commit completely. So a really technical and well-played drop from Dragon Archer Z, and really doesn't lose anything. That was pretty much a free snipe. You can see he gets out with everything. Meanwhile, he's just going to continue to macro up, throw towers down to cover his bases from the dragons. Meanwhile, on our side of the map, we've got snakes and wolves coming out. We're at +2. We go down to the units. If you look at the supply, we're about 10 supply up, almost 20 supply up, which is normal for Beast. Obviously, these units have, snakes and wolves have the same supply as a Rax unit. However, they are not quite as strong. They're about half the cost. So, it means I have to kind of back up here. However, this fight is pretty much an equal trade. He's killing a lot of wolves here, and I'm forced to run away because, again, those superior upgrades... Well, actually, we're now up to +3 attack, so the upgrades are kind of evening out at this point. If we check our den, or our testing labs, we have +1 armor also on the way. Meanwhile, Dragon Archer Z has shown his next phase in tech, which of course is the Priest and the Mage. This is the way Dragon Archer Z loves to play his Rax vs. Beast. It's a very technical and strong way of playing. Use a lot of the spellcaster units to basically control the map and get strength on the map, and really use the fireballs to basically own snakes. Fireballs, you know, are going to be really good against Snake Wolf in general. Meanwhile, the Ballistae are the hard counter to the dragons, and towers just everywhere for increased defense. As I mentioned earlier, you can see I'm going to try to start breaking down the Anvil testing labs. At the same time, I'm sharking with a force up at the top of the map, and you can see that Dragon Archer Z is a little bit tasked because his Rax units are so slow. He had them running south, but now he's having trouble defending up at the top, and he's actually going to lose a couple of workers to this wolf snake attack. It's going to really hurt his 4th base economy. Nice slow field being thrown down by the mages. That's another really strong ability from mages that can help the Rax units catch, and for the archers to actually damage the beast units. One thing that we see Dragon Archer Z needs to get but doesn't have right yet is range on his archers. It's better to probably rush out those attack and damage upgrades, to be honest. If we look at the supplies, you can see that I am still keeping up to a pretty healthy advantage, and really significantly, his 4th base is just not healthy. It's not that many workers. He's only at 37 versus 48, which means just the beast economy is pretty significantly larger. And if we look at the income tab, you can tell that Dragon Archer Z still has a bit of a advantage in the gold mine, but that should be changing pretty soon as more and more bases are taken by the beast player. Now, look at all these hurt beasts and snakes. It's like, oh, we're gonna get a snipe off? No, we don't quite get a snipe off on that damage worker. Nice micro from Dragon Archer Z, and these units are all just gonna die for free. But as the beast player, you're very willing to lose. Like, if you can trade with Wolf Snake in any respect, like any sort of trade where you're killing units, is probably a good trade, and you're pretty happy to take that trade. I mean, these +3 dragons are really just fierce. They're killing workers really quickly. And they're definitely a strong danger. You can see Dragon Archer Z is leaving a Ballistae at his natural base just because the strength of dragons coming in and sniping workers from here is so strong that he really wants that Ballistae just to keep the dragons at bay and use that AoE damage to keep them at bay. Dragons are just so tanky and mobile that really you need AoE to correctly deal with them. And Dragon Archer Z, again, really just trying to stay lock down tight, not allow the Beast army to get around and do damage. But here we can see some dragons are going to get on top of his worker line in the natural. He has no tower here, and meanwhile a fight is being taken on the main base. This is a really nice concrete for the snake units, and there's really not quite enough Rax units to take a great fight. I'm going to focus down the mage slightly with my dragon, and meanwhile these dragons are running away. But if we look at the units tab, it's 42 to 51, so again, Beast has a really nice worker advantage, even though 43 workers is pretty much enough, I would say, for this stage of the game. If we do a quick check on worker counts, you're going to see that there's a couple too many here. This is actually perfect, but in general, there might be a couple too many workers at some of these mines. And Dragon Archer Z now has this really strong +3/+2 force up against +3/+2 forces for the Beast player. Meanwhile, I'm getting a plus attack. Looks like there was a drop that killed the what is it called? Animal testing lab there, which I missed, so I do apologize for that. Now, Dragon Archer Z is now deciding to throw his units across the map. This is a really significant move because he finally feels like he has enough defenses, towers at home. There's no presence from my units on the other side of the map, and he's able to now move across the map and start to take control here. And this will enable him, when he takes control here, to grab this mine down here. And if we look at the supplies, again, Beast is still ahead, but the supplies are definitely looking pretty nice for Rax at this point. Now, I really am fine taking this sort of trade because dragons, if they aren't facing Ballistae, are really good because they really won't get targeted down. The wolf snake will die first before the dragons. So as long as the dragons aren't getting hit by Ballistae, I'm willing to take this fight. Now that the Ballistae arrive, I just have to run. And this is a really significant moment in this game, and I want to really pinpoint this as a Beast player. Don't take fights if you're Beast that you're going to lose. It's totally okay to sack bases. You can see I'm going to lose this 4th base. That might feel really scary, and it definitely is a strong move from Dragon Archer Z. And this is a very uncomfortable moment in the game for me as a Beast player. I'm frantically trying to get out an army. I'm trying to get more units into the fray. But don't take fights before you're ready to take fights. Now here you see I'm able to take out the Ballistae, the airship, excuse me, and now I'm able to focus down the Ballistaes. Now Ballistaes die really quickly to upgraded Beast units because they don't really benefit from the Rax upgrades that Dragon Archer Z has been investing in. So once the Ballistaes are dead, now my dragons do so much damage that they're able to flow in and do a ton of damage from behind. As long as there's a small amount of units like Beasts and Snakes to tank, this force of dragons will just slaughter all these mages and all of these archers and stuff. Now, slowly my meat shield of Snake Wolf is going to start dying, and I'm going to have to run away from this fight. But even so, this is a very cost-efficient trade for Beast. And now, once I run away, he really can't chase anymore because he's going to realize that this army is just going to die if he keeps chasing. So he, realizes that and has to run away. And now, significantly, because I have this nice force of 10 dragons, I'm only facing 2 Ballistae, and remember, one of them is in the main, so I'm only facing this single Ballistae. Now I have a ton of freedom to start putting pressure across the map. Now, I know he's taking this base here because I'm scouting off my wolf. Notice the way I'm also expanding in this game. It's really significant to note that if I didn't take these southern bases, I really wouldn't have the army. And the reason I'm taking these southern bases is because it forces his Rax units to now come and take me out in the south. And once he's in the south, my main army can hit in the north and basically kill this base. He can't be at 2 places at once. He can't push and kill this base and defend this base at the same time. So I'm making a trade here. I'm forcing him to trade this southern base for this northern base. And as Beast, you always got to be willing to take those trades, and I'm also going to expand to the north at the same time. So this is a really technical base trade-y kind of move. It's not really a base trade, but in a sense it is a base trade because I'm trading this base for this base. And also this is really efficient fights because he's losing very expensive units here basically for free, and when his units aren't fully coordinated, he doesn't have the Ballistae, the airships, the mages, everything coordinated together, his units just really die quickly, and his worker lines and stuff really are vulnerable to my well-upgraded snakes and dragons. Now you can see I'm trying to go up the workers here. This is a bit of miscontrol, but once I realize that he's got a Ballistae here, my snakes will focus it down really quick because snakes with +4 have crazy DPS. So finally he's killed this base. Now significantly he didn't see that this base was here. So this is really unfortunate for him because if he peeled off like a couple Rax units, he would have killed this base, and that would have made this game way difficult for the Beast player. Because I would be down to basically just mining here and just mining up in the north. I'm only now getting to that base. But if we look at the worker counts for both players really quickly, it's 32 for me, only 25 for Dragon Archer Z. So Dragon Archer Z is basically really starving. He's not going to get many more units than what he's got here. And now you're going to see just the mobility and the strength of this beast trade style is going to really hurt him, because these soldiers are wandering around getting focused down by dragons. He's finally cleaning up the units in here, but I've been able to kill a lot of reinforcements. You can even see down here. These small hit squads of Snake Wolf are doing so much damage. They're picking off archers, they're picking off ballistaes. These are really huge losses for Dragon Archer Z, and he can't really afford to replace these losses because he's lost his significant 4th mining base here, and he's really only mining from a single base. He's not even mining from his 3rd base, to be honest, and his main and natural are completely mined out. Meanwhile, I'm taking more bases, and that really was an excellent trade. You can see that even extending down just to here allowed me to get so much position into his base with my units that it was basically a favorable trade for me, even though he killed a really valuable mining base. And now I'm just kind of able to pick my battles. I can fight up here, I can fight down here. My units have the superior mobility, and it's really challenging for the Rax player to kind of come back from this position once he's lost so much space on the map, shall we say. I mean, he's got good tower placement here, but he doesn't have any defenses here. So my units have free reign to just start hitting here. Now this is a good fight for him. He's going to catch a bunch of snakes kind of for free here. But I just have to run away. I can't really fight this. That would be a disastrous trade. And I lose a couple of snakes, but I mean, at the end of the day, losing a couple of 45 gold units is not too bad. And I'm now mining from 4 fresh bases, whereas Dragon Archer Z is only mining from a single base. Plus his 3rd. I mean, the first 3 bases, I guess, are given, kind of, in a sense. And now, again, I know his army's up to the north, and I know he's going to go after these bases, but I'm completely fine with that, because I know I have these bottom left bases. So I'm going to let him do that, let him kill these bases, and just counterattack with my dragons. So my Wolf Snake is going to kill this 4th base, and my dragons are going to kill this base, and his units are just wandering around in the middle of the map. So I think this is a really perfect showcase for the strength of Beast versus Rax. Is you don't really want to take straight up trades necessarily unless you have a nice advantage, but what you do want to do is try to just tear them apart at their main base, at their 4th base, etc. And you can see that we have a nice split from Dragon Archer Z. He's got a couple ballistae chasing these dragons away, and I'm going to have to run away. Meanwhile, he is going to save his 4th, but he's lost all his workers. He's down to only 6 workers. And when you're down to 6 workers, like, there's really no hope. This small hit squad of soldiers is not enough to deal with these well-upgraded snakes, and really, there's no more units left for our Rax player, whereas Beast is just continue to expand, continue to build units. We're doubling our opponent's supply, and I think this is just an excellent example of some really high-level Beast versus Rax. I think Dragon Archer Z was playing an excellent game up until the point where he kind of just went south. I mean, he had to make some play to the south, but I think he somehow needed to just split his units better. I mean, there was 3 towers, so he needed enough forces to kill 3 towers. And then, of course, I have the option to come defend with dragons. So it's really a challenging balancing act for the Rax to actually kill these mining bases without allowing Beast this entrance. Because once I get entrance by killing this and then coming south into here and into his main, there's just no way to stabilize. The Wolf Snake and the dragons are just way too mobile and cost efficient in these small engagements. And I think as the Beast player, that should be kind of your focus in these games, is take those small engagements. You don't have to take the big engagements. Take the small engagements, expand across the map, use your mobility to your advantage. And if you do that, you're going to have a lot of success, especially in this coming patch. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Hope it was insightful in some way. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more content, and leave a comment. Tell me what you thought about that game. And I will catch you all later.